We are back on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. Lindsay Patterson, Mike Santagata here. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. Coming to Cincinnati in just a few days, so I've been excited. I just planned out all of my food hits, so that was fun. Have you ever been to Nada downtown?
Yeah, Nada's really good.
Cool. Okay, I picked that one. I don't
It's a
know.
Mexican restaurant. If you like
Yeah,
Mexican, you're good.
of course. Yeah, I figured that much out from looking at it, but I'm glad you like it. Yeah, and then my wife, even you know that I like Eli's a lot, and then my wife has never been. I was like, we've been together to Cincinnati so many times. How have you not been? I just going without you or what? So we're gonna hit that up too. So cool. Got some cool Cincinnati spots to hit up.
Nada,
Anything else?
Eli's, where else?
Skyline, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think. I think that's about. Oh, we haven't decided. Like we're gonna do breakfast one of the days, and we haven't decided if it was gonna be at Carlos Dunlap's Honey Uninhibited, which was great, or at Taste of Belgium, which was great, or trying somewhere new. So I don't know. We're downtown, so I don't know if you have a recommendation that is different than those.
As a downtown slash OTR Pendleton resident, I can only recommend Sugar and Spice.
Oh, I've never been.
It's
Okay.
at the menu. It's a really cool building, and the menu is kind of like a throwback vibe. It's been around for a really long time, and breakfast is 10 out of 10.
Cool. Okay. Maybe we'll just go somewhere different then. Sounds
Yep.
good. That one doesn't require a reservation, I don't think. So
No. No, no, no.
cool.
You'll walk right in and it's amazing. So that's my recommendation for you. Hope you guys have a really great time. Weather's expecting to be pretty nice football weather for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. A huge matchup, honestly. I would say Philadelphia fans probably feel the same way. Bengals fans feel the same way. This is kind of a test game. Where are you? And it's crazy to say that because they played the Chiefs, they played the Ravens, but they fell in those two games. This could be a battle to keep things on track for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're hoping to make it three in a row. Some good news. I feel like on the injury report, we recorded on Tuesday. We didn't have this news yet. Orlando Brown has been limited every single day this week. And Geno Stone did return to practice on Thursday afternoon after missing Wednesday. So that's a positive development. If you follow the Locked In Friends of the Show subtext, James Rapine did send a text out today saying that Orlando is wanting to play in the game Sunday. So that would be a huge development for them if Orlando Brown can go. Obviously, we don't know the percentage of how he's feeling, but being limited 2 days in a row, I feel like is a very positive development.
Yeah, look, Orlando on 1.5 legs is better than what Cody Ford would be. So I'm into the idea of him just gutting it out and getting out there. Hope it wouldn't hold him back from having, like
Mhm.
then his calf or whatever the injury is just never gets better throughout the season. It just always stays stagnant. That's feel like what happened last year with his groin, actually around the same time, a little bit earlier, I think, for the groin. It might have been the same exact week. So I hope he can gut it out and play for this week, but I also hope that it doesn't limit, his play for the rest of the season because I feel like he's had a Pro Bowl year. After not making the Pro Bowl for the first time, I think in like 4 years, where I didn't think he really deserved it. But then it's because he's playing injured, really,
Mhm.
with the groin. This year, I feel like he 100% deserves a Pro Bowl slot. So hopefully he can keep up that level of play and get in there. Gets a little bit of the bonus of having the B name because offensive linemen are just sorted by their name. That's why Hakeem Adeniji was top 10 before in voting because people just like, I don't care. I'm just going to vote for the top guy. But cool. Yeah. Orlando Brown. Hopefully he can play. Geno, no idea. He was just limited. I don't think we know anything else, just limited one day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With the shin injury.
That one I'm less concerned about though, just because I do trust. I think it'll be Jordan Battle. I don't know what you
Mhm.
think. I
Yeah.
know some people have floated around the Dejon Anthony or even Tyson Anderson ideas, and I just think Jordan Battle came in for him in that game, so I don't think they're too concerned about. Talk about like the range. Like Jordan Battle's a better athlete than Geno Stone, even
Mhm.
if he doesn't always have the same range because he doesn't read the quarterback just as well at this point in his career. He's still just as athletic as Geno, so I think he should be able to play those spots. I would I feel pretty optimistic about everything with those injuries going into this week. I guess not as much if Orlando can't play, but
Mhm.
I get the feeling he will. If he's gutting it out in practice, he wants to play. I think he'll be able to make it. We'll see though. You can never be too certain with that. Sometimes the doctors be the one to tell him no.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully he is out there, and we'll see what that looks like. But let's focus on this matchup right now. When you think about the Philadelphia Eagles, I actually want to start with their offense right now. We can get to their defense in just a moment. Jalen Hurts, probably Eagles fans would say he's not having the best start to the season they would like, but he's still Jalen Hurts, and I feel like he can be a threat on the ground and in the air. He has weapons if the Bengals do focus on just stopping Saquon, which is something that I've noticed Lou Anarumo really focus on when you look at some of these big-time running backs. Obviously, Derrick Henry had a late run in overtime, but they found a way to stop him. Lamar Jackson just went off in the game, and he was great. What will we see from them? Is the focus going to be stop the run? And obviously, the Eagles have two good wide receivers that he can throw to. What will the defense focus on it, and what will they be able to stop? And I think that's kind of my focus right now when you think about the Eagles' offensive line versus a healthier defense on Lou Anarumo's side, a Trey Hendrickson versus old pal Fred Johnson. What do you like about that matchup for the Cincinnati Bengals, and what's going to be tough for them?
Well, about that specific matchup, everything about Trey Hendrickson versus Fred Johnson. That's great. Hopefully the Eagles feel that way too. They're just like, he's fine. Leave him on an island. Leave him on an island. It's all right. Do the Giants strategy they did with Andrew Thomas. Or I guess the Rams did that the one time with their like backup to the backup left tackle, and he got 3 sacks. And the kid's like, were you surprised? I don't know how much I like about this matchup for the Bengals defense, to be honest, because I have been a proponent of saying, like, yes, the defense's performances have been good, but I feel like I've seen cracks in the armor where an offense could take advantage here. I don't know if Hurts at this moment would take advantage of all of those, but I think he would do a better job than both Daniel Jones and Watson DTR did. Even if it's just at what Jameis was doing, he was moving the ball, and we don't know. Like, that was probably a little bit of the conservative defense, everything else in there, but also it just gave me a little bit of pause of like, he probably was hitting those windows that I saw earlier too, though. So we'll see. That's the interesting one to me. If they're able to slow down this passing game, I will believe. If they're able to slow down the passing game and it doesn't result in 300 rushing yards, I will believe a little bit more in this defense, because this is a tough passing game to stop when you think about Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, whoever's at quarterback. If you get the one-on-one matchup back there and they're just running go balls, like, it's easy. That's just easy money. I would think Lou Anarumo is going to try to stop the run more than the pass on early downs. If that's that'd be my prediction. Just because I don't think they want Saquon Barkley to run for 200 yards in this game. I think that would be big for Anarumo to stop that, because if you had to pick who you want the ball in their hands more between Barkley and Hurts with an advantage, I think you'd pick Hurts. I think you would say, like, okay, Hurts hasn't seen the field that well in the past year and a half. Let's challenge him, maybe do some funky stuff on the back end, like show man, play zone, show zone, play man, whatever you're going to do back there, rotate the safeties down, play max fit quarters or something, but it looks like too high. I don't know. Do something back there that kind of confuses him. Don't just let him just play against an easy look. But I think your main goal is going to be to slow down Saquon Barkley in early downs. And the big part of this is that you have to do it throughout the entire game, because the Giants did it in the first half, but eventually those Eagles run blockers were able to wear him down. Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson, Tyler Steen was in there for Becton, and I kind of expect that to happen again because Becton still hasn't practiced from his concussion, and it didn't seem like they missed too much of a beat in terms of the run game. The other part of this is that if you can get the Eagles into passing downs, then you can really get after them, because Lane Johnson, nothing's happening on that side to me. I think that is just – his side's done. I wouldn't even rush a guy over there. I would just drop him. Just drop him to coverage. Maybe play some contain on that side. Especially if we think it's probably Sam Hubbard on that side. Like, I don't think he's winning that matchup. We don't need to worry too much about it. Just being rush lane integrity. But talk about Fred Johnson and Cam Jurgens and everybody pretty much, other than I think Dickerson's also a good pass protector, but the other three, they can get got in the passing game. So you don't. The other part of this is stopping Saquon Barkley. You don't want that Eagles offensive line to get rolling, because they are still a very talented unit. Dallas Goedert also probably a guy you have to worry about in the passing game, especially. I think he's an okay blocker, but it's nothing too scary there. Jalen Hurts, I used to be more concerned about him running the ball. Anytime I see him run the ball anymore, I don't know if he lost 2 steps or what. He does not look like a high-end athlete, and like not a bad athlete for sure. But I used to think of Jalen Hurts as like one of the more scary rushing quarterbacks you could face. And right now, I don't feel that way whatsoever, other than on 4th and 1.
I do want to say that Goddard has been out all week of practice with a hamstring
Oh,
injury.
cool. Well, that would help us.
Mm-hmm. That would
Great
hopefully he gets
comparisons
healthy for another game and he's back out there soon. But you rest that hamstring, you want to be a full go, and we know what that's like with hamstring injuries.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just our recommendation for him. But we'll see what it looks like. But yeah, there's a lot of talent on their offense, and I think that's what scares me too. But even on the defensive side, you know, you think about what kind of pressure can they put on this offensive line in the interior. What does Orlando Brown Jr. look like when it comes to his health? Does he feel good? And as you mentioned, you said, hey, on one leg, he's probably better than putting Cody Ford out there, and I would agree. And hopefully, you know, this week of rest, being limited in practice has really helped him, and he'll be good to go. But when you flip sides right now and you look at the Bengals offense, and one of the things that I really want them to get back to, and it's really easy to say, oh, yes, you would love for them to score 30 plus points. That would be amazing. But it felt like they've struggled in the last few weeks. And yes, they've played tough defenses, but they really can't get back to what they look like in the Ravens game and the Chiefs game, and even in the Commanders game. And I really want to see that from them, not only in the air, but on the ground. I want to see a run game. Is there any hope for Chase Brown to have a running game versus this defense?
Yeah, I mean, hope, sure. Predicting, I don't know. I do think this defense isn't the knock on wood, like it's not the scariest defense that they've ever had, personally. I think the hardest part of this defense to me is the coordinator. I think Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive coordinators in the entire NFL. If he wasn't the coordinator, I would probably be predicting the Bengals to score 30, just because I like their matchups on the outside against rookies and Darius Slay, who's kind of had a downturned year. I think they have pass rushers. You have to worry about that, especially if Orlando does miss the game, because I think that Josh Sweat's a heck of a pass rusher. Bryce Huff, he was bad all year, and then suddenly he was good last week. Not great for the Bengals. Jalen Carter can get after it as a pass rusher. You have Milton Williams, Warren Ajoma, and just a whole long list of guys that can rush the passer. I don't think of a lot of those guys as run stoppers. Not that they're terrible at it, but that's just not their forte. I do think of Jordan Davis that way, but Jordan Davis isn't a great pass rusher. But yeah, they are going to line him up probably head up over Ted. And he's a, whatever you think of him, good run stopper. I think the pass rushing hasn't translated for him, but as a nose tackle, I think he does his job pretty well. I just they've dealt with pass rush issues before, and like more difficult ones to me, and they were able to score 30. When I think of like when they play against the Steelers and they're able to score 30, even though TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith are on the other side of the field. Find a way to be able to wad that up long enough to be able to take your shots would be my strategy here. I think Fangio is going to get interesting, get funky. I don't think he's going to make it easy on Burrow, but I also think that this Bengals offense just has more talent. We'll see. I think that's another matchup that's like I lean this way about it. I kind of lean towards both offenses in this game, and I guess that's why the over-under is almost 50. Most people probably do when they look at these. But yeah, I think if the Eagles end up having a good day, it's probably because they did a good job stopping the run, which I don't think is a given. I think the Bengals could possibly run on this defense. But if they have a good day, it's probably because they were able to stop the run, get into pass rushing situations, and then their pass rushers were all-star pass rushers, and they weren't just like pretty good. They were very good in this game. So that'd be how I think that they are able to pull this off and slow this Bengals offense down quite a bit. Otherwise, I feel pretty good. I don't think like you're going to come in this game, no pass rush, and then it's just Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay clamping Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I don't see that for the most part. I think that's a little bit far-fetched. But do you have any thoughts on that side of the ball?
Yeah, you know, I do believe in T. Higgins and Jamar over their secondary. I really do. And that's not taking anything away from the Eagles defense, because it'll still be a battle for this offense. And you really want them to get back on track. And that's the biggest thing for me. I know Joe Burrow has mentioned it before. They've scored 30 and they've still lost games. But it would just be encouraging to see that out of the offense over the last few weeks, because it really hasn't been there for them. they've done enough to win the game. Can credit to the defense that and playing a poor offense on the other side of the ball. But for me, I would really like to see, maybe it's not even the run game or it's Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. I'd like to see that third playmaker maybe step up in this game. Maybe they take advantage of the middle of the field when you think about the Eagles defense and who that's going to be. I don't think it's going to be Mike Gesicki or anything like that, but maybe they do rotate a few different guys in. I don't think it's going to be a Jermaine Burton game or anything like that. And believe me, if I'm wrong and anybody wants to come clip this, you are more than welcome to. But maybe just see that third guy, and maybe that third guy is going to be Chase Brown. We'll see what it looks like. But yeah, I'm excited for an offensive game. I'm hoping we're going to see an offensive game on probably going to be both sides of the ball. But for me, I'm always going to be just a little bit concerned. This team has yet to win a game at home, which is absolutely crazy as we're getting towards the end of October. And it's kind of, it would love to be a deja vu. If you remember this time last year, it was actually a road game for the Cincinnati Bengals. And obviously they started out slow. Do you remember that game this time last year? And it was like, oh, the Bengals, they're back. You better watch out for them.
Well, that could be the 49ers game. But I remember I also felt that way during. Okay, that's what you're going to.
It was the 49ers.
I also felt that way during the Cardinals game a little bit, but I think that was going from like terrible to like, oh, they're okay now, and then the 49ers game was like, oh, they're back. They're really good. That's another game you could think of. Like Burrow had a great day, and that pass rushing unit is probably a little bit more difficult to deal with than the one the Eagles are presenting.
I mean, when the leaves turn a color, the Bengals offense, they get rolling. So we'll see if that's true, and it happens again for the fourth time in a row, if the Bengals are going to be able to do it. And yeah, I feel like it's going to be a battle out there. We'll get to our score prediction and our winner in just a moment, but it's kind of crazy when you look at who the Eagles have played in the last two games and who the Cincinnati Bengals have played in the last two games, just flip-flop. They played the same opponent, just different times. And those are our comparisons when you look at both teams getting back on track. Thank you to the Browns. Thank you to the Giants. And here we are, a game that they decided to flex out of 1 p.m. Jamar Chase told the media today he didn't know the game was at 1 p.m. Glad he got the memo. We don't want Jamar Chase not to be here. He said he's not a morning person. He doesn't really like those 1 o'clock games. Do you like the 1 o'clocks?
I do. I don't think it's my overall favorite. I think 4 o'clock is my favorite window overall, but 1 o'clock, it's up there. We've done our favorite rankings before, and ever since we once you get into the like these type of roles of having podcasts or writing or whatever, the night games become not your favorite anymore just because of staying up later. But yeah, 1 o'clock's a good game. I think it's what I'm used to. That's the most common game that I've had in my life for the Bengals.
1 o'clock's good when your team wins because then you can enjoy two more big games. You get the 4 o'clock games, you get the Sunday night football game, and you're like, my team won. I'm going to relax and watch it. If your team loses, well, for me personally, I take it that way. I'm like, oh, this isn't as fun anymore. But yeah, huge game coming up. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this battle?
No, I don't think so off the top of my head. When I looked it up real quick, was just Jalen Hurts only has one game this year where he threw for over 300 yards, and the Eagles actually only scored 15 in that game. So I don't know. To me, I'm like, see if he could do it. See if he could throw for 300 against this defense. If you're going to tilt your hand one way or the other, tilt it towards Barkley and away from him. Just, play the run in this game. To me, I don't think I'd want to see Saquon Barkley have a 200-something yard game himself.
And I think that's what we've noticed all season long when it comes to running backs and what they've decided to do. It stopped the running back, forced the quarterback to throw. And I feel like that would be the same game plan with a really good running back in Saquon Barkley. We'll see what it looks like on Sunday for the Cincinnati Bengals. Huge matchup. It would be absolutely a great turnaround after the starts of the season to get to 500 on the season, 4-4. Raiders in town the following week, and then you have a short week before you play the Baltimore Ravens. So this team is hoping to get back on track. Can't think of a better way to do it against an NFC team at home. Let's get to it. Predictions, what's going to happen? I'll have you go first.
All right. Yeah, I think this leans offense. So I think I go over the 48.5 in my brain to something like 27-24. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close throughout, but I think you're at home. They are undefeated when I come to Cincinnati. So riding on that, knock on wood, keep that going. So I go Bengals 27-24. I think that the offense has a pretty solid day. You might have some drives where Fangio just kind of got them instead of them being able to move the ball down the field. I don't know how the run game's going to go. That's kind of like the big one to me. I have no clue. And on the other end, I just lean towards a better quarterback. Like I think between the two offenses, Burrow's a better quarterback to me. So if you're going to get into a game like this where it's going to be tight throughout it, I think the better quarterback and better offense wins. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think they get to 30 this week, but at the end of the day, that stuff isn't important if the team's able to win. You want to get your home win. I mean, come on. They can play on the road. They've shown they can play on the road. None of that is really scary for them if they do turn the season around and get into a wild card spot or possibly get into that division talk. But for me personally, you need to get this one at home. It's a perfect fall day. You get the chance to bring an opponent in. It's a 1:00 game. This team is getting that confidence on the defense, even though they played poor offenses. And offensively, they've showed this season that they can battle with some of the best teams out there. I think it's going to be, I'll say 24-20, still a pretty close game, tight game. I agree with you when it comes to quarterback play. I believe in Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts. That's nothing to take away from Jalen Hurts and what he is as a quarterback. I think maybe there's going to be that costly turnover that really turns the game around, and the Bengals they're able to capitalize on it. And hopefully we see something out of this defense against an offense with weapons, and we say, oh, okay, well, this defense can be okay. They can be average. And that's all you really need them to do if the offense can continue to play good after playing poorly in the last few weeks. So I don't know if it's going to be a lights out game for the offense or anything like that. I expect Ja'Marr Chase to continue what he's doing. He's just amazing and really fun to watch. And he's playing like a wide receiver one in the NFL this year, which shouldn't surprise anyone. It's going to cost the Cincinnati Bengals some more in the offseason, but good for Ja'Marr Chase. I'm always rooting for the guy to make his money. And T. Higgins, you could say the same too. So I'll go, 4-point game in the 20s. Bengals get to 4-4 on the season, and still a lot to left in the NFL season to play for.
For sure. Tough.
I want to be right. I don't want to be wrong, but anything could happen.
You've got the under, I've got the over. That's how we really separate this one. Which
do.
one of those hits? Whether or not they win or lose, we both picked them to win, so that doesn't matter. So does it go over or under?
It's funny because I was watching that Browns game last week, and obviously it was a tight game for quite some time, and I was getting so frustrated with the way they were playing that I was like, even if they win, I'm going to be mad at this game. And at the end of the day, they won the game, and I got over it. And I'm like, okay, that was another win. It's hard to, play in the AFC North. You got to win in Cleveland, got that monkey off your back, and you're able to move on to the next week. So, yeah, I just want to see something out of this game, and the biggest thing is a win. So we'll see what it looks like in a few days. I know you have a great piece on Trey Hendrickson. People should go check that out on Bengals Talk. Also, good breakdowns over on Bengals_Sands. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, just I guess the last thing I was thinking of was just, man, I hope they do that Pistol Diamond thing a little bit more, because that's what I'm going to write about if they keep doing it. I'm gonna write about that if they have a little bit more of a package to it. I don't think I had enough to write about it this week, but if they can keep that going, you'll probably see an article about it. If it's not just a couple play action plays and some bad runs, if they can get to some good runs and some play action out of it, I will appreciate that. So I'm excited to see what they do out of that. And it does still feel a little bit like they're trying to figure out how they want this run game to exactly be. Like they're kind of in the area, but they don't have it pinpointed. They keep changing the formations, changing what runs they get to, etc. So we'll see. I think that's one to look forward to, is just see how are they going to try to stress this defense in the run game. Are they going to get into more 12 personnel? I think they should. And I don't know. I love seeing that against the Browns. So that was my last part, was just kind of a hope of seeing a little bit more of that.
If Zach Taylor listens to this podcast, we will know if they do that on Sunday, and we see more of it.
It could be anybody. It could be Riscotti. It could be
pitcher. Zach has a former Moeller head football coach as like an assistant on his staff, and maybe he makes him listen to the podcast and what you're talking about. And that would be fantastic. If we see that on Sunday, we just know you guys are listening. We don't know your burner account, but we know you're listening to the podcast, and that's all that matters. So hopefully it's a good game. Safe travels to Mike as he heads to Cincinnati, hoping to make it 3-0. in his time here, and the Cincinnati Bengals are hoping to get to 500 on the season. As I mentioned before, go check out his great piece, Trey Hendrickson, Bengals Talk. Follow him on Twitter, Bengals_Sands. You can follow me at LNDS Patterson. Thank you for listening to It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati.